and I am a speech language pathologist and former tech integration specialist.
Super. So we'd like to know who's here and where you're from, what you are doing, and who you are. If you don't mind either typing in, and if you would rather speak it, just let us know and we'll unmute you because we can do that. And if you have a group, make sure that you let us know. All right, super. We have Pam Bell, director. Super.
Pam, what district are you from?
Hi, Karen. Karen Dishman from EVSC. She's their AT specialist. Oh, Exceptional Children's Co-op in Jasper. Okay, super. Near the Schnitzelbank. Am I close to that? Do I have to throw that out? All right, Bev Bathis, the teacher of Clark Middle School and Vincennes Community Schools. Hi.
Yeah, I was just there last week.
Yeah, Jessica was there.
Riley.
We were both there a while back. Were you in a meeting with us, Bev? Oh, hang on. We got Elisa Clock from Gibson County. Nice, super. Nice to meet you. Yes, but the Schnips Pub is better. I already like the way you think.
Oh, so we have met them.
Oh, super. So you were in the meeting with us. Awesome. And we have Sherry Case.
Nice to see you again, Sherry.
Nice to see you. Absolutely. From EVSC. I realize that you can't read the information that's coming in. That's another glitch that we want to work out with the new format that we're using. We just wanted to make sure that we had enough spaces for everybody who wanted to participate, and the webinar was the way to go, but it has us a little limited this time. All right, anybody else? Would you like to introduce who you are and where you're from? Please, as we go, if you pop in or would like to, type or tell us if you're with the team, feel free at any time to communicate. Oh, super. Cindy from Lagodi. Oh,
Yay!
Yay. That's where Jessica was. Just today, right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
It seems like
it's all
today.
running together.
So Lagodi Schools reached out, Cindy did, and had me come in, and we spent the morning just talking about a couple kids and have some great plans for them, and hopefully we'll do some follow-up training. So we just want to thank you for, even if you weren't able to come or you have colleagues that aren't able to come, please pass on the information and what the COP can do for them, because we've got a lot of great stuff that we can share with your schools.
Absolutely. And we like the good road trip.
I'm difficult to hear.
It's probably just in comparison to me. I'm someone who rarely needs an amplification system.
I will scoot a little closer.
Perfect. Sounds good. We can also, yeah. Okay, super. So moving right along. We left the definition of the COP. Those of you who were here at the meeting last month probably know Karen Dishman is on this team. Jessica and I are fortunate to be on this team, but this is not a patents team. This is a community of practice about students who have a no visible sign of communication, and people from all over the state of Indiana who would like to solve some of our issues when it comes to testing, when it comes to servicing these students and making sure that they have every opportunity that anyone else does. So we just wanted to make note, even though we will definitely talk up our services because we like to help, this is a team-wide, statewide initiative. And normally the person who presents with us is Kristen Siever-Kofer, who is from the DOE. So she's not with us tonight, but definitely we're all thinking in the right direction with this. Okay, so we have several promises that we like to have in every single meeting. One is the fact that at the end, we like to talk about individual cases. And if you have a student, and just kind of think about this as we're going, this will happen every time we have a meeting. The conversations have been great today. We've already met with another team in the state, and, just letting professionals bring a student or a situation to the team and having lots of input from other people on how that might be worked through. So we have individual case study time, and we also like to provide an AT corner. So without any further ado, Jessica.
This one, communication matrix. It's a questionnaire assessment. Have any of you used it or heard of it? I'll bring it up here. It is a free assessment that
no, says Pam Bell.
Yes. So Pam Prepare to be amazed.
Yes,
Karen
says
says,
Karen.
yeah.
Prepare to be amazed.
Karen's on my AAC assessment team, so she definitely knows about this one. So this is a free assessment at communicationmatrix.org. You create a free account, and this is a multidisciplinary assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the end looks like. Actually, let's pull up this nicer one. So what it looks like in the end is something that looks like a periodic table and goes from very basic using expression or just exhibiting discomfort all the way down to using language or communication to be able to choose something, to make a choice to request a different type of object, to request more of an object. So not necessarily appropriate for every student that might be an AAC user, but certainly great for those teams that are like, it's a really great day when that student is orienting to noise. Mm-hmm. And how can I show the team and how can we figure out where our interventions need to go unless I have a really good assessment that will show where that progress is being made. So go into here, to the matrix, and I'm going to start a new matrix to view my assessments. Okay, so each student gets a profile. I created a bunch of fake ones. And this is what my student's profile looks like. Very early areas where they've mastered expressing comfort, but not mastered obtaining more of something. And then also you can pull up a skills checklist that kind of goes through what all the pieces are. And Pam, I'm going to plug in the website right after this, the communicationmatrix.org. And then, so let's show you what it looks like when you create one. I want to start a new matrix for this person, and this can be used for progress monitoring as well. So we're going to create a new one. And you can also send this to parents. You can print it out. It's been translated into several languages, and it's a questionnaire. So this individual doesn't seem to have any real control over their body yet. We're going to say that this individual has surpassed their stage. They seem to have control over their body. This individual has control over their own behavior, but they don't use it to let them communicate to me. I'm going to say this individual surpassed this stage, but then for this one, individual clearly tries to communicate their needs to me through gesture, sounds, or language. I'm going to say no. This stage is beyond this individual's ability. Oh, crud. And we just talked about if we have this area. Let me try that one more time. Thank you for your patience.
What I love about this is she's getting you back to where she is I don't have an SLP background, and I feel like if somebody gave me this assessment, it's pretty cut and dry, and I would be able to move through it pretty quickly.
What's happened? I'm going to start over here. Start a new matrix from scratch. You say yes on that one? Mm-hmm. Trying to get to the, here we go. So this is the cool part. So once you get to a part where we start needing a little bit more information about where that student is, and I think a lot of teams or a lot of maybe assistants or families, they'll say, my student doesn't communicate, but they are communicating. They have communicative behaviors, but we need to show and kind of tease out where they are with those. And this comes with videos. So when you're trying to answer this question, for example, can you tell this individual doesn't want something specific things such as a certain toy or food or game you're playing, like tickling, there's a 30-second video that goes with it to kind of explain, okay, when we talk about protesting behavior, what does that look like? So again, that's a communication behavior, and a lot of people might forget to count that or forget to see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and say yes for that one. And then it starts going through, what does this individual do when he or she doesn't like something? And you can go through and say, okay, we're emerging with head movements. We've mastered the leg movements. And so you're able to take progress like that. And if you were using this as progress monitoring, all this would be filled in so you could kind of see where progress has been made in those areas. So that is the communication matrix. Also with this, so you have the assessment piece of it, but there's also a community in there. And I would say every week, people are posting really good evidence-based articles or ideas about interventions and assessments. So it's a really good resource. And for the most part, it's free. I think you have to pay a few dollars if you want all of that assessment funneled into a really nice looking paragraph style assessment report. So you do have to pay a little bit of money for that if that's something that you want, but everything else is free. So I'm going to type that in there and you go ahead.
Yeah. So I just feel like there's so many different elements that I love, especially the video, because I think sometimes when you look at the video, when you look at your student or your child that you are very, very close to, and you have a lot of, I don't know, got a lot of understanding about what that student is. Sometimes we don't interpret those movements to be what they are. And I love that there's video reinforcement too. So that's it. All right. And if you have anything along the way, please feel free to put it in. I realize that there are new people who have joined the group. If you would like to introduce yourselves, we will stop and introduce you to the group as we go. So feel free to type in or ask to be unmuted so that you can tell us who you are. We're so glad you're here. Welcome. All right. A couple of other things that we like to do is we like to make sure that you are aware of upcoming trainings and opportunities. This LAMP training seems to be, I think somebody said you were from Clark Middle School.
Oh, no, this one's St. John. It's near.
St. John. Sorry. Wrong district. Wow, that's what happens when we talk to too many people across the state. Nonetheless, there's a LAMP training up in Clark Middle School in St. John, Indiana in March, and a PEX training in Indianapolis in April. Elsewhere, you can access a AAC language seminar series in Pittsburgh. Those all three are for pay. So you definitely have to pay for those. But I wanted to throw on a free online courses through the AAC Institute. If you are like me and not a person who has a speech background, but very interested in the AAC, I think this is a valuable resource that is free, and it allows you to have some coursework. I think there's 5 courses that you can work through, from an introductory session to getting into the nitty gritty of the pieces. Karen, what were you asking? Are there going to be any more pod trainings? I don't know. But I will ask. I'm writing this down on my very low-tech system over here.
So the pragmatically organized dynamic display, we brought in Kelly Bonner in April, and I think there were 2 sessions that she did. It was a 2-day training, but it was free, and normally you'd be paying about $300 a person to go and attend it, and Patton's covered it for 40 people to come in and do that. And Karen did it. I did it. Mm-hmm. I think we had a few other people in your area come up and do it. It was very valuable. And if you don't know what we're talking about, if you Google We Speak Pod, there's a family that all of her, not all of her children, all but one of her children speak Pod, this pragmatically organized dynamic display. It's great to see a family using it and speaking their system. It's really cool.
Yeah. Flip me to the next one. Will you put We Speaks Pod down there for them so that they can have it? So one of the other opportunities that we just wanted to make sure that you were aware of, this is a link to our calendar for Pattons, but just to let you know, we have free resources. And the thing that I respect about Pattons, I haven't, I've lived in Indiana for about 5 years, and I am shocked compared to other states that we have all of these free resources that are given to teachers. And it makes me very proud that we have this in place. And so there are a lot of online trainings that you can access, but if you ever want either one of us or somebody else, we have 18 members across the state who specifically work on different skill sets. If you have something that you want one of us to come out and consult with your school or come into the classroom or, help brainstorm ideas, we are thrilled to do that. So feel free to email either one of us and we will make sure that your information goes to the right place.
Is there a community on Learning Connections called there is a community on Learning Connections called Pod Forward where we try to share implementation ideas. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to copy that into there.
Thank you, Lisa.
So That's that.
Fantastic.
I'm still not a part of it. I need to make sure I get on there.
Yeah, you do? What are you doing? All right. Are there any opportunities in your area? That was a good one with the Pod Forward group, even though I realize that's a virtual area. Are there any other opportunities that you can think of that you might want to share with your region? Sometimes schools have a twofer. You can train us and then add another school district around. If you think of any opportunities, please pop them in here and we'll make sure that we share them here and on the Facebook page that we have for your region. If you're not a part of the Facebook page and you would like to be, please send a request and I will absolutely let you in to our closed group. So thank you so much. All right. Okay. So I love this part, and we've had great reasons across the state of Indiana to celebrate. And I don't care if it's little, I don't care if it's big. Who has something that you would like to share with the team? If you would like to be unmuted, let us know, or if you'd like to type it in, please do that as well.
You put your Facebook page, yep.
Yep, sure. Jessica's on it. Who has a reason to celebrate right now? Something with a communication or teacher engagement, teacher buy-in. I know Jessica has a fantastic one to share.
So if you were in our meeting last time, we shared a short video about a young guy who had a lot of behavior issues, and we introduced a low-tech AAC board. He was doing really well with it. Well, another school district wanted to replicate what they were doing in that preschool classroom, and so they got it and made it universal for everybody. And we did that training in August before all the kids came in. I got to go into that classroom a few weeks ago, and that classroom is rocking it. It's amazing. And so I was sitting down with an activity with one student, and he was using this board, intermittently talking some and using the board. And the assistant leans over and she's like, "That's our developmentally appropriate peer. That's our typical peer." I'm like,
what?
Are you kidding? And this was a kid, he had a lot of anxiety regarding the activity, and he was using it to help him communicate. So that's what it's all about, giving him a different opportunity, a multiple mean of expression. So
UDL style.
Universal design for learning style. Definitely.
I just love to hear that. Can you imagine, as communication goes up, behaviors go down? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that this preschool class just looks completely different than it might have at the beginning of the school year. That's exciting. Does anybody else have anything that you'd like to share? It can be tiny. Oh, here we go. We had a student, this is from Karen. We had a student today that rocked lamp words for life at the preschool classroom. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Life-changing for that kid, right? Absolutely. To finally realize that he can say something and that people will listen. That's totally life-changing.
You're never too young.
No.
Never too young for a dynamic display.
No.
Never too anything for anything.
No. Oh, I like that statement. I'm going to write that down. Never to anything for anything. Anybody else? If you have a celebration, we would love to celebrate with you. So feel free to type that in or ask us to unmute you, because we always like to celebrate. Not the big stuff even. Anything. Whoops, let me see my entire screen. All right. And we have, I know that Evansville is our AEM team. Just to give you a heads up, we have, through Patton's, there are 8 schools that are accepted after a pretty large application process to become our AEM teams. And this grant is pretty incredible. You have one-to-one help with your district as you need it for helping to get your districts up to speed with accessible educational materials. Free subscriptions for 1.5 years to Snap and Read and UPAR, which are 2 really incredible tools for all of the schools, kids in your district. It doesn't matter if you have an IEP or of a 504. And then there's a really neat communication piece. Do you want to share that?
So schools qualify for at least one communication package where we will help you select a communication system, and it might be a very high-tech system, it might be a low-tech system, and comes with the training and the technical assistance that might go along with that. So for at least one student per district.
I think that's great. We're always looking at funding and trying to figure out where it's going to come from. And I love it. I came from a district that did a few more. I was on the AIM team last year before I was hired with Patton. So I didn't know if there were any accessible educational material victories that you've been celebrating. I know that we just had the mid-year meeting, and Karen Dishman and the Evansville team rocked it out. I was very impressed with the work that they've done up until this point, and I know some of you are here. Is there anything that anybody would like to share about AIM?
know we had a really good conversation with one of the physical therapists at Evansville talking about how all students need to have access to their education. That includes our students in life skills that can't physically turn the pages. They need access to making sure that they can access all that educational material.
Yep. All right. If you have anything that you'd like to share, again, I feel like I keep on saying that, but wait, there's more. You can still share. Oh, let's hear what Karen had to say. We are getting the word out for how to answer on the IEP. That is terrific. There's all of these things. You think it's just getting the accessible materials in hand and sorting out your system and figuring out who your digital rights managers are. But when it boils down to it, it's the things like, how do we answer the questions on the IEP to make them make sense and to make sure that the kids have their systems that move from year to year with them.
And so related to what we're trying to do here, making sure that kids who have AAC are getting making sure all that is in the IEP and everyone feels comfortable describing what that system looks like or systems looks like for that student, and making sure that the next team understands what it means.
Absolutely. And Karen also said the word is getting spread very quickly now. So you've got your hands full is what you're saying with lots of good fire. Awesome. I'm so proud of that team, and I'm proud of, and if any of you would like to apply with your school districts for this grant next year, 8 lucky teams get it. And I think it's kind of life-changing for schools. So,
or if your team got it several years ago and you think that you need to reapply, you can do that too.
Absolutely. All right, so this is a shared resource. I think this is really cool. One of our school corporations, we actually just met with that region, but Bluffton Harrison MSD schools have created this series on YouTube that talk about core words and the word of the week. And we just want to show you really quickly this resource because I think it is just
so they
great.
have a whole channel. If you click that link. But,
word of the week is help. Excuse me, I need help. Please, quick. I can help. Oh, that's way. Help me.
I just love it. And I love that they put these resources out. I challenge you to think about any type of things that you might do in your district that need to be spread around the state. I think, we ask it, right? I love it too, Karen. I feel like they have done all of these cool videos and they mean so much. And just having access to that to be able to use this and not reinvent the wheel, I think it's fun, but it's also really, really helpful if you're trying to use core words and words of the week in your classroom.
And I think that's probably the theme of today's meeting. What are some tips or things that you've stumbled upon? What's worked for you?
Absolutely. Okay, so last time we took the data, the information from you and shared it with other specialists across the district, and we just wanted to make sure that we were listening to you and that we were able to give you a little bit of feedback. So the request for data collection forms for AAC, that was a hot topic in the last meeting, and 3 things that were suggested were the DAG2, the SWAC, and the WADI. And so those are resources that you can click on the links and you can move through what those are. Would anybody like to have one of those specifically looked at?
Or is anyone using one of those already?
Yeah. So this PowerPoint and the presentation will be posted on the Facebook pages this week. And so you'll have active links to all of these. So you'll be able to look through them. And if you have further questions about them, of course, contact one of us and we'll definitely go through them with you. And then another hot topic was the free iPad apps for communication with big buttons. Oh, Karen Dishman says that they use the WADI forms.
Yep.
Yes, and have tried the DAG2 forms and are going to use the SWAG. Fantastic. Yeah. Again, I've always used the WADI ever since 2008, which tells you how old the WADI is. It was in existence long before that. But Jessica exposed me to the DAG2, and I was really, that's one that's supported by Dynavox, correct? Mm-hmm. But as a non-speech person, I really was kind of impressed with how this works.
You don't have to be using a Dynavox to use this.
Not at all.
But it has a lot of really great thoughts about I'm not saying I'm bad at writing goals, but I have a hard time trying to think of really good measurable goals that can be, again, be related back to curriculum and content. So there are tons of measurable goal ideas and ways to kind of go through and assess and see what is it that we need to focus on. It can't all just be selecting your favorite snack from a choice of two for the next 10 years. We need to
Well,
really.
there's a lot to be said about selecting your favorite snack.
Yeah. No, it's going to be my 12-month IEP goal.
Right. Pam Bell had a comment. Thank you. I'm anxious to use the communication matrix. Oh, we're entertaining. That's good to hear. So this is really great for writing goals. Yeah. And I got to see this one in action and with a brand new exposure to a brand new SLP. And she really did well with it. She was able to go through and navigate it. It's pretty user-friendly.
Pretty user-friendly, especially if you know the student. And then there's a progress monitoring piece to it. So once you know that you get through a certain area of competencies, and it's based on really good research related to competencies, linguistic, social, operational, strategic.
Yeah.
So
very cool. And so just moving right along, the free apps for communication with big buttons. This was a very specific request. So a free iPad apps for communication with big buttons, pictures for a student with limited hand use. And the recommendation that came back was Sounding Board, which...
on that one, if I remember correctly. Yep. So, and this one, we were also, I can't remember if it was your group or maybe another region, was talking about making iPad Switch accessible. And I don't know that we got to talk about it, but making sure, and you can certainly get this, or you can borrow apps from our lending library. If you have an iPad that the student's already using and you just want to borrow LAMP or Proloquo to Go or one of the other apps, you can have it set up so we send you an app to your personal iPad and you can borrow it for 6 weeks for free. So don't think that you are just limited to free ones. But also, if you're thinking about making your iPad Switch accessible, make sure you have a conversation with the librarians or one of us so that we can point you to the right Switch. Because just because the app is Switch accessible doesn't mean that the Switch interface will work with that app. Sometimes RJ Cooper apps only work with certain ones, and then AbleNet only works with others.
Absolutely. All right, and another piece of feedback for one of your requests was request for switches that work with iPads for a student who needs partner-assisted scanning and has a visual impairment. Note the Bluetooth switches are not universal, as Jessica was just saying. Look at that. So 3 switches that might be good for partner-assisted scanning with VI, Bluetooth, and I believe Jessica showed that to the group the last time, a Bluetooth switch, the RJ Cooper Bluetooth Super Switch, and GoTalks app that has auditory scanning.
So that app, I think a lot of us are familiar with GoTalks, those clunky, I shouldn't call them clunky, but they're kind of thicker green devices that might have 4.
Voluptuous.
Right? Yes. But the app really has a lot of features that probably not of the other full-featured AAC apps have. So it's worth checking out if you're looking for auditory scanning.
Yep. Super.
Oh, goodness.
And just a little feedback from around the other regions that we thought were relevant to you. So one of the barriers that we were facing around the state is that when you borrow something from our lending library, we'll ship the item out to you. But if you want to send it back, you either have to track down one of us or you have to pay for the shipping to come back. That was a barrier that was keeping people from borrowing things. So we listened and we talked to higher ups and they agreed to pay the shipping back. So the details are coming around to us and we will share them with you as soon as we get them on that Facebook page and then also through the meetings. But rest assured, you'll be able to send things back without having to pay for it now. And then another thing that we both thought was definitely relevant around the state were how to help students with limited interests, bags of tricks for OGCOM needs. And, we all have that little thing that works. One SLP suggested music on YouTube on her iPhone to gather interest and focusing on aided language stimulation for staff. And then simple switches and gaze. And let me, before Jessica shows these, because these are amazing, her word of advice, which I really thought was great, was jump in without the expectation that kiddo will respond. And I think a lot of times we want to have the anticipated what's going to happen with this, and we don't know until we try. So jump in with 2 feet, eyes closed, like I do to most of my things in life, and see what that kid does. Oh, we got a good suggestion.
Pug app. 99 cents is great for easy engagement.
Super suggestion. We'll pop that down in the place where you can see. Thank you, Karen. That's great. 99
I don't
cents
think I've played with that yet. He is so cute. Oh, I gotta see this.
Do you see how far she's going to see who you're referring to as cute? The last time I did this, it took me down a...
Is it this one?
Oh, is that the little guy, the little pug guy? He is cute. Oh,
my gosh.
And he cooks. I wonder if he's available.
Make him do actions. Ooh, what a great language app.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. Perfect. He is cute. All right, so Jessica was going to share simple switch games, which I think are really valuable.
So this came up.
It was Beth Browning. She said, "Got you. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth Browning." This actually came up at Lagodi, and then Rachel and I were talking on the phone. I'm like, "Oh, this came up. This is a really good idea." So not necessarily for. This is a great resource for students who are using switches and just need some type of game or interaction, especially games that are age respectful. It's really hard to find something that doesn't have a teddy bear in it.
Yeah.
So this is Shiny Learning. They have tons of Switch accessible games, but I've used it with students that didn't necessarily need a Switch, but they needed something where visually it wasn't so stimulating and didn't expect a whole lot motorically. So these are some really fun, engaging games. And then Tar Heel Reader, I think a lot of you use for their books, but they also have a gameplay section that just rolled out.
Yeah.
And you can create your own. All it takes is a YouTube video, and then you kind of set it up, or you can use others, and you can choose all sorts of topics, different ratings if you want something a little more C for caution. And then setting it up either as a cause and effect, so you pause and you need to hit the button to make it go. That's one of the most commonly requested things. You have a student that's interested in music, and you want to be able to get them to use that cause and effect with the music that's appropriate and interesting. Yeah. Or you can set it up so it's choice making. So you can set this up so it is using the spacebar on your computer, or there's some really easy switches and switch interfaces you could borrow, or you might already have hidden somewhere on a shelf in your school.
I love it. As a former essential skills teacher, I really, really value anything that you can make not only relevant to a student, but age appropriate. Teaching high school kids, you wanted to be so respectful of their age and what they would be interested in, what other peers might be interested in. And a lot of the material was gauged towards younger children. So I love these doors opening. And also providing lots of opportunities for the environment rich with these options.
And I just now noticed, so we'll put the link in, we'll fix that and put the link in, but there's a link within the DAG has a environment analysis tool. It's really just a spreadsheet to help teams, because I think when I go out and support SLPs, they're typically supporting snack time and calendar time. And then teachers aren't sure what else they're supposed to do for the rest of the day. And this helps you go through, every minute of the student's day. And it's not terribly time consuming, but you go through and look at all the other opportunities there are in a student's day for embedding different language, and who are the communication partners, and do we need to tweak the student's system a little bit? And if there's new or novel situations coming up, what are some things that we can do to prep? So make sure we get that link back on there.
Fantastic. Oh, and I just love this. Cool. Yeah, this makes me so happy. So I just bought these for a friend of mine for her son for his birthday. They're called hex bugs. Are any of you familiar with these little guys?
You get them at Target, right?
I know, right? I'm looking for responses like hex bugs. What? Oh, these are amazing. So they're little robots of different bugs. They're scarabs and beetles and spiders, and they have an on and off switch. My friend in Chicago Public Schools, where I used to teach, she said that every kid performs for me with these, and that she starts high with an iPad app, and that she hides everything except for go and stop. And I asked her if she made that switch accessible, and she said that she just really didn't. She turned them on by herself as the students were telling her go and stop, and that there was a lot of vibration, a lot of sensory as they moved around, and that kids just really were coming out of the woodworks for these. And I think it's good for us to all have bags of tricks, and we would love to hear yours. What do you go into the classroom and share with the student that rarely fails? I've shared this repeatedly, but there was a duck in Chicago, and it was switch accessible duck. And I don't know what it was about that thing, but the minute that the SLP that I was paired up with brought that out, kids were like, coming out of the, opening up the doors and coming out. I mean, it was just kind of amazing how many people would respond to that particular item. I don't even think it's on the market anymore. If only they knew. But the hex bugs are definitely something that I think are cool and new and age appropriate. There's a lot of kids out there that are using the hex game systems and building different things that go along with this. So just another idea for OGCOM. Bag of tricks. All right, so you identified in your last meeting different topics, and we would really like to make sure that we touch on some of these. AAC support, use in the classroom, how to implement AAC in the classroom, auditory scanning options, low-tech communication, AAC devices and how they're being utilized in the classroom. I just want you to know that when you fill out that PGP form at the end, we are taking that information and shaping future meetings off of that. And so these are just some of the ideas that your team brainstormed, but we, of course, would love more. So we're to the time where we talk about specific student cases. Does anybody out there have a student that's making you scratch your head, somebody that you've had success with and you might have ideas for other people, problem-solving suggestions, data tracking, keeping services going from year to year, which I think is a huge challenge for students, figuring out how to keep that going?
Karen, we shared just about every region our spreadsheet bonanza that we've created. If you don't know, Evansville, Vanderburgh, they're a huge school system, and Karen gets a whole lot of information, and our team, trying to figure out what to do with it and make it as easy as possible to get what you need to do done. And she and I brainstormed a bunch of ways, and now she has a system that hopefully is working completely. We had a few bugs, but it's been really cool to see, teacher fills out a referral, automatically creates a
she says almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah.
And it highlights red and green and blue and yellow depending on where they are in the process, so they can easily, the entire team can look and glance and see what they need to do next. Creates a student referral, already has student information plugged in, so you don't have to go back and redo it if the teacher already filled out the form. Just a lot of really great stuff. So when I told Karen I was going to do this, we are set for doing a webinar if you'd like to see some of the solutions that we came up with in Evansville on the 28th of February 28th. So I'll post that information if that's something you think somebody in your district would be interested in, trying to make that data mountain a little more bearable.
Absolutely. And I keep on saying, yay, says Karen. I keep on saying, why are you saying we? I'm like sitting back and admiring. Jessica is magical when it comes to forms and organization.
I'm an SLP. I got a lot of data.
Yes. Although she is type Z, not type A or type B. I'm definitely in the, oh my gosh, I can't believe it phase with all of that. So that's just something to help with data tracking. But is there anybody out there who has something? We can unmute you if you'd like to tell your story.
I had a lot of questions.
You're pretty cool too. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Coolest. Even if I'm just looking for shiny things in meetings, I appreciate you saying that. So does anybody have anybody that they'd like to talk about?
We had a lot of stories about iStar.
iStar. Yeah, that really, really came up. You want to talk about the little girl?
Yeah. So we had one student who she has Down syndrome and autism. And when she's working in the classroom, they give her choices and they are set up horizontally, and she's able to make a good choice when it's set up that way. But on the iStar on the computer, it's set up vertically, and she always picks the last one. And the teacher was really struggling. She's like, if I could just move those answers around, I could actually, assess what we're really assessing. And we had Kristen Sievers-Kofer in here, and she brought up, you can request a paper version of it. And I know teachers have gotten permission to cut up the test and set it up in such a way. So we, directed her to, was it
Karen Stein?
Karen Stein at the DOE to communicate with her and ask that question and get that set up. So know that if you're having those questions like an iStar, you finally figured out that mode of communication that's going to work, but the test isn't designed the way you need to, maybe there is a simple solution that can be implemented this year.
Absolutely. And I encourage you, if you want to cut that test up, there are ways to do it, but definitely talk to Karen Stein. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think it's K Stein at
doe.in.gov.
Oh, maybe not STEIN. Here, you want to put it again? We will get the spelling down on
and then
that.
Karen asked, but you don't have to put the paper back together and return it or not. No, from what I understand, they're just putting it back in the bag and stapling all the little pieces, all the scrap pieces of paper. Mm-hmm. That is my understanding.
I think that's also a little breadcrumb for, people at the DOE to see exactly how many people may or may not have modified, But again, check first. And if you have additional questions about iStar, the person who's filtering that is Kristen Seaver-Koper, who is usually part of our meeting. And she is, we will put her email address in here too. Matter of fact.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know that we do on this, but we'll pull it up and make sure that you have it because she is fielding questions about iStar, and I think we're in iStar season.
I think a lot of you just finished a round.
Yeah. So if there are any student cases you'd like to talk about, please feel free to put that in now. And if not, I just want you to take the time to think if you plan on participating in these monthly meetings, think about those types of things that you might want to share out because the people in your region are definitely your best resource. I always felt when I was an essential skills teacher that I was kind of alone on my island. I was in my school and I wasn't necessarily at that time part of the larger student body, and I had a lot of flag waving and fighting to be included into different things. And I often felt like I was reinventing the wheel, and maybe nobody else on the planet had ever had a kid who refused, like that kid in the video, and threw himself on the floor. When I think that we all have those commonalities between us that we can really learn from each other and help each other. So we'll give you a second longer. We can't see who's typing, so it's kind of hard to see if anybody actually is. Uncomfortable silence. All right. So unless anybody else comes up with something, just keep it in mind for the next meeting. And, we definitely have good feedback from other districts where we can get ideas as well. But if there are no further questions or anything else that anybody wants to talk about, I realize this was a lot of us talking to you. We're working each month on trying to make sure that there are times where we would like for this to be your regional meeting. Definitely we can spread the word, and we've got connections in places where we can actually have a little bit of a voice, and we want to explore that more and more. But we want you to be able to have this as a resource with each other. So, just keep that in mind, that we really would like to structure it more that way. Maybe muting you all is not the best interactive format that has been there. So we will also be working on that. Okay, so just to flip back to the beginning to let you know, these are our email addresses if you want one-to-one. This is me. Jessica's popping that into the chat box. And then Jessica Conrad.
And then tonight, we have our Twitter handles on there, but tonight is the Patton's ICAM Twitter chat. So hashtag Patton's ICAM will get you there at 8:30 Eastern.
It's a great chat. It's fast, but it's on UDL and different ideas. Tonight is on multiple means of representation, which I think is really exciting to talk about. And the moment that you've all been waiting for, hanging on in the balance for, is PGP points. So not only is this a good opportunity for you to get PGP points, but it also allows us to take the information that you put in. You have some takeaways and then topics. You can really type anything you want in there because I read them. So if you have questions at that point that you want to, pose, stick them in there, and I definitely will look at them and filter through so that this is relevant to you. But I encourage you to fill out the short survey and to give us a little info and to be able to move forward from there. All right, if there aren't any further questions, then it was great meeting with all of you today. Yeah. Feel free to utilize our emails. Bye. Bye, Karen. Thank you so much for participating, everybody. We appreciate it.
Yes. We'll see you.
Yes.
March 7th.
March 7th. We decided to kind of do one in the middle before we hit spring break zone. So we wanted to kind of push it forward a little bit. So be looking for information on the Facebook webpage and on the Patton's website too, where this will be posted after we're done. Thank you so much. Have great nights.